All right, so today we're here with Blue Life 3006, Javier Washington. So, Javier, how did your telekinesis journey begin?
Uh, it began last year, sometime last year, and I don't like I said, I told my videos, I don't know what was going on in the home. Uh, all I know is like a dark shadow following me around the house, and I video record the events that was going on and stuff like that. And it was a spirit that I got it on picture as well. For my telekinesis, I don't know if that spirit was actually trying to help me or what, but for some apparent reason, I was slowing down the fan in one of my YouTube videos, and I was trying to figure out, how did I do that? And it's a guy named Mark. He really helped me out how to connect with that ability that I had, and then, from there it got strong because I didn't used to do none of this at all.
Oh, interesting. Okay, okay.
So,
So, so when you say spirits, like ghosts, you mean?
uh, yeah, like spirits, what they call shadow people. Well, I looked it up doing my research, shadow people, and I guess it was just it was earthbound and it needed help, and it was just messing, moving stuff around in the house, and it was just it was crazy. Uh, like I said, if they do want to check that out, that's in my video. You can actually hit the spirits and help me in the video as well.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, okay. So, how do you train your telekinesis? Like, do you use a side wheel, or do you some people prefer to use like rollable objects and stuff like that. How do you generally do your training?
Um, where I meditate, you can silence your mind. You don't have to close your eyes to meditate. You can meditate anywhere. Just block everything out, every thought, block it out, and just silence your mind. And then you practice on your breathing. And when I first started out, I never used a side wheel or anything. I used a tinfoil, and I would start pulling it towards me, and then I went on from heavier objects from there.
Excellent. Okay, okay. Very cool. So like how many hours do you generally train a day and stuff like that?
Well, when I first started, I used to train for about, I used to get around like 4 o'clock in the morning, four, maybe three, because it's best to do telekinesis at night or in the morning. And I used to train all the way up to about 7 o'clock in the morning to eight.
Wow.
So yeah, I put a lot of time in trying to figure out how did I, move this object.
Wow. Okay, okay. So Javier, like you mentioned that you train at night and stuff like that. Um, like is it because like your brain waves are at like an alpha and stuff like that? Like, do you understand the concept of brain waves and stuff like that? Is that why you train at that time?
Because it's more quiet. It's
More
quiet,
quiet.
and
Okay.
everybody sleep, and I can focus better because it takes a lot of focus to move
Right.
an object. You can't think about moving that object. You got to become the object.
Certainly, certainly. That is a great tip. So, Javier, um, what is your goal with telekinesis? Like, do you want to get to the point where you can levitate, be levitating objects and stuff like that? What exactly do you want to accomplish?
I'm actually working on that now. Working on levitation. I seen Seven. He levitate when I first seen him levitate. That was a goal for me. That was amazing. But you got to understand the concept, or levitating. You got to balance air. It takes a lot of energy, and you got to build a lot of energy to do that. So until I can reach his level, then I can do it. But right now, I just
Right,
move objects.
right, right. Certainly. What is like the heaviest thing you've ever been able to move?
Crystals. In my
Crystals.
videos, you see I move crystals. I move computer mouse. What else I move? That's the heavier objects that I move.
Very cool. Okay,
And
okay.
the refrigerator door.
The refrigerator door.
Yeah, it's in my YouTube videos as well too.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, okay. I don't see a whole lot of videos of you doing like elemental stuff such as aerokinesis, atmokinesis, hydrokinesis, and stuff like that. Do you play with that stuff at all?
Uh, Not really. I got, I focus on telekinesis. Also, and it may sound funny, and I also communicate with spirits. They may show me things and plenty of things I could uh told my fiance about, and it actually came through true. For a dream or something, it actually came true. Or I asked my son, was he in the room with the door open? He said, yeah, he all the way at his grandma's house, and I know exactly where he at. So I don't know if that's the connection I have with my son, or that happened multiple times. I wrote in my diary, saying, I saw this and it actually came true.
Cool, cool. Okay, okay. Do you you mentioned that you can like kind of have a strong connection with your son and stuff like that. Are you able to perform any other medical physical abilities besides telekinesis, such as remote viewing or astral projection or anything like that?
Uh, Maybe remote viewing just a little bit, but I focus on more. I'm trying to do pyrokinesis. I'm trying to do that. Uh, that's kind of hard, but I'm actually trying to get off of telekinesis and see what else I'm capable of doing.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, okay. That is really, really cool. So, generally when I speak to people, they say they spend a lot, there's two types of people. People that just say like, I just do telekinesis and my telekinesis is just gets better and better and better the more I practice. And there's guys like me who feels like, the more I do it, the less stronger I get and stuff like that. So I spend a lot of time doing meditation and qigong and stuff like that. Like, which category do you think you would fit into?
Uh, Telekinesis. I don't spend
Oh,
every day doing it because you don't want to spend so much time on just that one particular thing. Sometimes give it a break, and if you fall off, always go back to the basics. Go back to the basics with the side wheel or moving forward, or just go outside, and generate that energy. There's so much life out there and energy you can generate.
certainly, certainly. That is a great tip. Okay, okay. So, for a newbie that's embarking on this telekinesis journey right now, is there any advice that you can personally give?
Uh, be patient. Be patient. You know, if the object don't move, just be patient. Keep practicing, practice, 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 and you gonna move it. And have just a little bit of faith. Or faith can take you a long way. If you don't have faith or any doubt or belief, it will not move at all.
Right, right. So it's just about cultivating that belief. You're right, right. That's
Belief.
definitely a great tip. Yeah. Um, what does your family think of you doing telekinesis? Do they find it kind of odd or funny or
Well, when I like I said, I never did it before. I didn't just see people. Oh, I want to try this. It didn't happen like that with me. It was like a whole big change for me. I used to be out there, in the streets playing ball or whatever. I ain't never wore a crystal a day in my life. But my girl, she thinks it was funny, and she did not believe nothing I said until I showed her in person. And my brother,
wow?
he didn't believe it, and I had to show him in person. And once they see me do all this, and they saw the things that I recorded, and they saw it with their own eyes, they was a believer.
Wow, that's really really cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So like your goal to you know you said you're working on levitation stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like where what do you see yourself becoming in like 20 or 30 years or something like that?
Um, Hopefully, I be strong enough to move heavier objects. I want to be a show my son. It's more than what you think it is, and he seen me do these things, and where he asked me, "How did I do that? Can you teach me?" And I say, right now, I say you're not ready for that right now. You got a lot going on. Uh, Hopefully, I'll be up there with seven, a little bit with seven. Seven and Chris, they very, very, very had a big impact on me.
Right, right.
Very
Certainly
impact.
I can relate. Yeah, because I mean, I
Yeah.
2 years ago I found them as well. They taught me telekinesis person, or
Right.
not Chris, but Seven personally taught me telekinesis and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, I can certainly relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Amazing guy.
yeah, yeah, definitely amazing guy, and what he can do is just absolutely extraordinary. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. Some people when I interview people, they like to not that it's wrong, but they like to like talk for a long time and stuff like that. You give
Mhm.
really, really brief answers, which is great, which is like really awesome.
Mhm.
I keep because people have like really small attention span nowadays
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's cool. I was like actually expecting this interview to be a lot longer, but I've already asked you all the questions that I needed to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we'll probably get this wrapped up soon. Any final thoughts, Javier, regarding telekinesis that you want to express or anything like that?
It, it's an amazing. When you move an object for the first time, you feel this joy and excitement that you have. You're like, wow, I can do something different from other people. You just you got other people seeing on YouTube and they move objects. I seen your videos. Also, you shared one of my videos when I'm moving the coin on there as well too. It's just, you got some amazing people out here. Not trying to say I'm in competition. No, I'm not in competition. I'm learning. I'm taking all that in. If they got any tips or you got any tips, I'm gonna listen. I'm actually gonna write that down. So okay, he said do this breathing technique, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Awesome, awesome. That's a great attitude to have for sure. Yeah. So yeah, do you see yourself maybe eventually becoming like a teacher and like is that like kind of like your goal perhaps or
Yes, I got telekinesis school that's on Facebook. I really have really 5 students that I'm teaching. I'm teaching the basic with the chakras, and meditation. Meditation is powerful. And it all depends. A lot of people say focus, focus on something, but do they really know how to stay focused on that object or stay focused on that one task because they never been taught? And basically, that's what I'm teaching them. Stay focused, clear your mind, because your mind is constantly racing with thoughts and feelings, and sometimes you have to block all that out to get to move an object.
right, right, certainly. That is definitely great advice for sure. So well, Javier, you're an amazing practitioner, you're an amazing person and stuff like that. And just a great guy to be around in the community and stuff like that. So, excited to see you, come out with more awesome demos and stuff like that in the future. We will link if you guys want to check out Javier's um, YouTube channel. It's Blue Life 3006. But by the way, what does that mean? What does Blue Life 3006 represent?
Blue life is I see it as on my page like a blue energy. Uh,
Mm,
it's basically I just came up with it, blue life. It's blue life. Blue is my favorite color. Enjoy life, and the number stand for it is personal to me. So I just came up with the name.
Cool. That's a very cool name,
Yeah.
certainly. So, okay, all right. Well, guys, check out his channel. It's an awesome channel, and um, thank you so much for this interview, Javier.
All right. Thank you, man. All right.